We're
Yo!
live.
What's up, Grace?
Actually, a lot is up, I feel like, in the world, but I'm doing
Yeah,
good personally. How about you, Jack?
good. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yeah, just really
Nice.
excited and intrigued, honestly, by today's topic. More than anything, like,
Yes.
really intrigued by all of this TikTok testimony that we've seen. And you and I have been talking about this for like ages, I feel like, on this show. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of times people were like not convinced that a TikTok ban could ever happen, but it seems like slowly, like things are happening. Not even slowly, it seems actually very fast right now, but like things are happening that are pointing to indicate that maybe we are like actually on track to ban TikTok in the US, which is crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like we have been talking about this for like months or if not years. And I guess that's
Yeah.
partly because it's been a conversation for years, like the whole thing in 2020 when Trump was trying to ban it. But even just like this most recent saga, I feel like we talked about this a few months ago and no one was really talking about it, but articles were coming out and I was like, how is no one like caring about this? But I think it's
Yeah.
like it isn't real until you're seeing video footage of TikTok CEO like being grilled by Congress and you're like, oh, like they're actually sitting there and having this conversation. Shoot, like what's going on? So
Yeah.
you
And
heard
not
it
just
here
the
first
conversation, but
though.
like the
Yeah.
vibes are like pretty hostile, I would say. And
Yeah.
it seems like the Congress people, at least to me, like are really sort of gung ho about banning TikTok.
Right.
So
Right.
I say we jump into some highlights. Maybe we should just
Yeah.
get a little highlight reel about what
Catch everyone up to
happened
speed.
for those who haven't
Also,
seen. I don't know how
question
you would have
for
missed it, but
question
what?
for people watching. Do you use TikTok? If you use TikTok, let us know in the comments. I'm curious to see how people think of TikTok. Do you like TikTok? Is it something you don't use? Because I feel like I've talked to a couple of people and actually like some of them are like, no, I don't use TikTok. It was too addictive for me. And so, yeah, I'm just curious to see what the audience's usage
Yeah.
is.
I used to be one of those people where I wouldn't use TikTok because I was afraid of being addicted by it. And then I did
Yeah.
get addicted by it when I was trying to use it for like growth of a new YouTube channel I have. And
Right.
it definitely got me.
Yeah. All right, let's see
Cool.
some
All
of
right.
these
So let's see
fun,
some.
interesting clips.
Yeah. So let's just dive in. Can you hear this?
No.
Okay. Slay. Well, this one has captions, so I think
Yeah.
I just go for it.
Yeah. I feel like good for me. We have 7,000 employees in the US. Yeah, that is true.
And talking about, I feel like this is really the main clip or the main like meat of what this is all about is the data privacy issues that people have brought up at TikTok, how TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, then therefore the CCP, like if they request information from any company, like they have to be given that information. And here in this clip, the TikTok CEO is saying that by design, American data is stored on Oracle servers, which is not a Chinese company.
Right.
And yeah, that's really, I feel like in essence, like that's the main issue that a lot of people have is like that a lot of this data could be collected and then given to the CCP upon request.
Right.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh yeah, the cat. I remember this cat. I remember you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a conversation is a lot around data, where the data is stored, if the Chinese government has access to it. And yeah, I guess this is all they basically TikTok was proposing to have Oracle take all the US data and kind of like section it off from the rest of TikTok data, from the rest of like who can access TikTok. And I feel like the government or like our Congress people were not convinced. They were like, no, that's not necessarily going to work. Or it's like hard when it feels like now the rhetoric is so much about, it's like fear-based, fear and anxiety. And I think when people get into this place of like, well, what if like the Chinese government can get access to my data? Like that drives fear in people. And I think it's hard to like reason with logic through that conversation, which I suspect is like, and you can hear it in the people like asking the questions. They sound mad, you know, they sound like angry and like scared. Yeah,
no, I would definitely agree. I would say that the Congress people definitely are like, they were pretty hostile in these questionings. I can play this one and just talk over it, but this one also is about whether or not like certain content exists on TikTok that like the CCP and China like wouldn't like, and whether or not that content is being banned. And TikTok says no. They're bringing up in this case specifics like the Tiananmen Square massacre and like the Uyghur genocide, which is really interesting. So yeah, it's that's another concern people have, is that like I think people feel as though TikTok can be used as a tool by China to like promote pro-Chinese like propaganda almost, I guess. And yeah, that's another critique that I think came up in these testimonies as well. And TikTok is saying that that's not true and that you can find anything through search on TikTok, but we've heard definitely this critique before.
I think it is hard because like that kind of argument of like, oh, you could be using the algorithm to push certain types of information. It is like, it's hard to know without having the transparency into TikTok and like how they run the algorithm and knowing like the code basically, right? But I do still think like there's so many ways that like, what about just like more transparency into their code? Like what if the government had more transparency there, or just like better user data protection laws in the US, as opposed to just an outright ban where like, let's be real, like I feel like even if TikTok got banned, people still find ways to use it, you know? And like maybe that wouldn't be as many people, like 150 million people are on TikTok now. Maybe it wouldn't be that number, but I think just banning it, it's like people will still find ways to use it. And then there's still the issue of like user data, like propaganda, whatever, you know?
Yeah. Another, I think a critique from like more like pro TikTok people is that a lot of these Congress people don't seem to like really have a good grasp on tech. And so like when they're asking questions and, you know, trying to relay their criticisms, they come off as kind of like uneducated and just like a little stupid, which I think hurts their criticisms as well. So in this one, he's asking like, does it access Wi-Fi? Which was like, really an interesting moment. Yeah, and it's like only if they turn on Wi-Fi. But like it's just an interesting thing that like I feel like the people who are trying to regulate you know, these apps don't really have an understanding of like how they work and what's important. And yeah, I think that's pretty fascinating. And I think that's like what I've seen on TikTok, like actually after today, just like scrolling, it's a lot of these videos of like making fun of politicians for like this. And I think it like dampens the their criticisms and their thoughts.
I definitely agree. I think it's just like worrying to see that the people that are like making these big decisions, writing laws, like enacting change, they like have basic understanding of like technology. And I remember this happening like when Mark Zuckerberg was being was like in front of Congress for other
Yeah.
like trials, and there was like someone was like, so if you don't, what is your revenue model if users can use Facebook for free? And he was like, we run ads. And it's like, yes, like that is literally a Google search. Like did you
Yeah.
do any of the pre-reading? Like, did you like learn anything about Facebook before you asked that question? I think that worries me.
Yeah. Yeah, I
this
want to
is
look at this comment, which I think is pretty interesting. TikTok will be banned in the US within the next year. People need to make their alternative plans now. I think a lot of people feel this way. I even talked to someone at
Right.
our company who's really convinced that, yeah, by the end of the year, TikTok will be banned as well. And I think that is something that we should get into. Also, I could show this data. There is, they did some polls, the Quinnipiac polls, did some polls on TikTok, and found that the majority of people in America, well, 49% support a national ban, 42 oppose it, and around 8% or 9% are in the middle. Mostly Republicans support the ban more, but across pretty much every group, the majority, including Democrats and independents, there are a lot of people who want the ban. So I think it's really interesting, and this is like a real threat to people who have business on TikTok, because TikTok is like a huge business driver. So I think we should talk about that a little bit as well. Like what should maybe like if TikTok was banned, what would happen, and what does this mean for creators?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like if you run a small business or like use TikTok as a marketing mechanism, that's scary. Like it's just like a main pipeline for communicating information. So once that is gone, like where do people go, I think is the main question in my mind. I guess like other platforms, and I think that's why this is the time. Like it hasn't been banned yet. If it was to be banned, like people are saying it would take, potentially over a year. So this is definitely like, it's not like game over, like if you have a small business, it's not like it's going to be deleted tomorrow and your whole revenue stream will be gone. This is the moment now where you need to start like repurposing your content for other platforms. Like take your TikTok videos or whatever videos you're making, make clips of them, put them on YouTube, put them on Instagram, even like LinkedIn, other places. I think this is the moment where businesses have to start thinking about other platforms. At the end of the day, like you just can't rely on any one platform. These are companies. And like we saw with Twitter, people freaked out when Twitter was also like potentially going to be like shut down or just like fail. I think it's just, you can't rely on any one platform or company now. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think it's important to diversify where you're posting. I also think that this is something we talked about in a past episode that I had with Greg. But the importance of like, it's so clear right now that like a huge platform like this can go down and go under. Whether because of business practices or because of government regulation or what have you, maybe algorithmic changes, but like you don't want to rely on any one thing. So I think it's also really important to try and build community like on your own surface. So making a website that people can like always refer to, an email list, so you can directly talk to the people that you need to talk to, your supporters, your buyers, what have you. Things like that don't rely on a specific other social media apps like algorithm, I think are going to become more and more important as people start to realize like, oh, my entire business or like a good chunk of it can be gone from like one vote by the government, Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely scary. It's not, I feel for everyone out there who is like very scared about the possibility of this. But I think this is like the time for action, and it's easy to get like very like caught up in like the, oh, will it be banned? Will it not be banned? Like, but you know, like regardless of what happens, even if TikTok does stay around, I feel like you should have other ways to communicate with your audience, to know who they even are by having a mailing list or website. So I think this ultimately, like, whether TikTok is banned or not, it's just another lesson for creators, and like how to run a sustainable business, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you
I
think
wonder.
people would go though? Like what platform
Yeah.
would people go to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have like Reels, and we have YouTube Shorts, but I kind of feel like neither of them like carry the same like
Mhm.
vibe. And like at
Mhm.
least for me, like Instagram, it's like Gen Z people are less interested in Instagram now. YouTube
Yeah, interesting.
just doesn't feel like the Shorts experience is like great yet. They're missing a lot of tools, and I think I don't know. I'm sure someone would be like practically immediately coming up with a clone, um,
Mm,
and
mhm.
and whether or not people use that though, that's the interesting thing. Like, would someone,
Yeah.
if it was practically the same thing, would they want it? I don't know. What do you think?
Mhm. Well, I think it's like hard to replicate the culture of a platform. And I do think it will be hard for any like random clone of TikTok or like any new app to like compete with Reels and Shorts now, just because Reels and Shorts are being used by like a lot of people. They're
Yeah,
putting revenue structures into place. Like they're not necessarily perfect right now, far from it, but they're like starting that conversation. And I think that is a big piece of like when creators think about what platforms to choose, it's like, where are they going to get exposure? Where are they going to get
yeah,
revenue? And
yeah,
so I think these platforms already do have like, they're competitors to TikTok. So that's a huge step up from any just random new app that forms. Um, so I do feel like most people will go to Shorts or YouTube. Um, we'll see like if the culture translates the same way. I feel like, yeah, they have different cultures from TikTok, and so it's not the same vibe. But I do
yeah.
think that that would be a starting point.
I think it's also interesting that like the other platforms don't really seem to have very similar algorithms at all, at least for me. Like anecdotally,
Mm,
I post like the same content for my own YouTube project, on Reels, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. And
yeah.
TikTok always like as far and away gives us like way more views. Like we just had a video that got like
Mm,
700,000 views, and on
mm,
YouTube and Instagram it got like 200. So it's like that's
yeah.
the scary part I think for a lot of people too, is that like TikTok for some reason just seems to have uh better growth opportunities.
Mm,
And it like feeds new content to new people more. And so I think like if you're
mhm.
starting from square one, it's hard to build that up like on these other platforms right now. And so I think if someone else can replicate that experience, like maybe then people will flock to that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a fair point. I also do think like one main difference in the way I've seen myself use TikTok and other people is that Instagram Reels and, well, Instagram and YouTube, there's other forms of content you can watch. So
Hmm.
the ease of just like getting onto the app, onto TikTok, just seeing a video immediately. There's like one simple way to see more videos. You just scroll up, like Reels individually as a feature has done that, and then YouTube Shorts has done that. But like within the broader YouTube and Instagram platform, it's just like harder to get someone to go and start watching those videos.
Yeah.
And I think like seeing a preview of the video, seeing the title, like you can on YouTube and Instagram, it's just like I don't it's not the same, you know? It's like not the simple scroll up thing. It feels like there's too many
Yeah.
choices. It becomes like overwhelming, I guess. And so I think
Yeah.
that's why I haven't used it as much. So yeah, I think the potential downfall for Instagram and YouTube is that there's too many other types of content and too many other things going on the app, that short form, while they're trying to focus on it, it's just one piece of a larger thing. Um, So maybe that's the way like a new app could break through, is just have that like single swiping up, like single feed experience. So I guess we'll have to see.
Absolutely. I like this comment. Should Kapwing become a TikTok alternative? I don't know if that'll happen, but that would be cool. And then, T.Wire, creators should be on all social platforms, have their own website, and focus on obtaining emails. I agree.
Yeah.
I also see, this comment, email newsletter, haha. I think a lot of people feel that way, haha, about email, but I think and people think that like social media is like everything right now, but like these like more traditional marketing efforts like still work. And I think you don't have to rely on, if you have 10,000 people in your newsletter, you don't have to rely on an algorithm to get that message to get them to see it. Like you can just directly blast it to them. So I think it's actually pretty invaluable to have an email newsletter for, especially if you're like more like a business where you're selling products. And as opposed to like a content creator where like the content itself is the product.
Yes, definitely agree with that.
Something I wanted to bring up too is so like obviously TikTok ban is like on one end of the spectrum of like, that is a pretty crazy thing. It could happen. But what do you think other solutions are there aside from a TikTok ban that would allow the government to feel comfortable allowing it to still exist, but not be like flat out banned?
Yeah, it's a hard question. I think that's what the government's trying to figure out right now. But I mean, they did say like they pressured TikTok, or they pressured ByteDance to sell TikTok, right? So I think they would feel more comfortable, right, if an American company owned TikTok. But that seems like a very theoretical thing. Like people are estimating TikTok would cost like $40 billion to $100 billion to purchase.
Wow.
And it's like Meta already owns Instagram Reels. That's like super competitive product. Google has YouTube and YouTube Shorts. So that would, if those companies were to buy TikTok, that just like raises antitrust concerns. That's like a whole nother problem. So I think I was reading people were saying like Microsoft and Oracle are like potential buyers, but even that is like, it's just such a big price tag. Like, would these companies really want it, or would it just be to save? I don't know. I feel like that's just and also ByteDance, I think, was saying like, no, we do not want to sell TikTok. So it's like, all right, well, you need two parties to like have this sale go through. Seems like that's not really close to happening. So, and maybe this comes back to like the idea that maybe people in Congress that are making rules and laws in the US don't fully understand the technology and how it works, and that there is nuance to like how we can do this safely. And so they feel like banning it is like the only solution, like it's like, just get it out of here. But I feel like there's like in between like so many other user data protection laws that could be passed, or just transparency, that kind of thing.
No, definitely agree. I think I'm not sure that like the government will settle for anything less than an American company fully running it. I do think that would work, but I also wonder like, could they just break off TikTok US or something from like the global like TikTok, and then have everything just be run almost like its own like company? Maybe not. Maybe that's like wishful thinking, but I don't know.
I think that's what that Project Texas thing was. Like they're trying to propose that Oracle would have all the US user data. But then I think it's like, I think the government is still like, yeah, but China still owns it. So maybe if they really pressured, they could still get the data. I don't know. I feel like this is just like a vicious cycle too, where it's like they're proposing these changes, but then there aren't really laws or like as advanced laws around user data and like all of this partitioning. So then it's like, because there aren't laws, then they don't feel secure in like this solution to have Oracle hold the data. You know, it's like it just keeps going in a cycle. And so then I think people are like, well, the easiest way is just to ban it, you know?
Yeah. That would just be so crazy. Thinking about how many people, like, you know, businesses would be affected by this. It's like, also, I think something people maybe aren't considering heavily enough. Like, I actually feel like a TikTok ban could have like a huge impact on the economy, or for like small businesses. But pretty crazy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm reading these too.
You're looking at the comments,
Yeah. If TikTok is banned, we have Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, which right now I'm watching in India after TikTok was banned. There is a negligible chance bad impact after TikTok is banned. That's interesting. Yeah. Did you feel that there was a difference like in the platforms? I don't know if you were on TikTok before it was banned. And do you feel that like it's these other platforms are just as valuable for creators? I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, and I think it is interesting to acknowledge that like the US would not be the first country to ban an app like this. So like TikTok has banned it. I mean, we've already technically banned it on like government devices. So it's but I think what might happen, I feel like if the US did ban it, then I feel like more countries would follow. And then it's like, what happens to TikTok as a company? I don't know. I'm like curious about that too. Like, what happens to all the employees who work at TikTok in the US even? Would that just become like, they just go and find another job, I guess? I don't know. Like, would TikTok exist as a company in the US? Probably not, right?
That's another interesting thing too, of like hearing you say like, oh, if TikTok were to sell, if an American company were to buy TikTok and it would cost between like 40 and $100 billion. It's interesting though, because like, if America bans it and then like the rest of the world starts to ban it too, which I feel like is likely, it's not going to be worth 40 to $100 billion anymore.
That's true.
So that valuation is like really like contingent on, I feel like American usage, which is really interesting. So like there is an interest for TikTok, obviously, to like make this as safe as possible. But I don't know. It's all a cycle. I feel like it's a game of like chicken a little bit, where it's like if America threatens TikTok hard enough, TikTok will like budge and start to do things that to protect data. But like TikTok also can like sort of threaten the US with like the impact of the economy. So it's like a really weird game of chess, I feel like right now.
I also feel like probably the US government, people, lawmakers there, I don't know if they really understand the creator economy as a whole. Like it sounds kind of, if you are used to like physical businesses that have a storefront, or that, like these more like traditional businesses, and you see someone who's an influencer or whatever, they're like growing a brand on TikTok, they get brand deals. That's how they make money, is through brand deals or like making videos and getting ad revenue. Like, I'm not sure that they understand that is like a lot of how people are living these days, like that's how a lot of people are making money like that. So maybe, like that paired with the misunderstanding of how technology works, it's like, it's just, they might be making decisions about stuff they barely know anything about. Which, I don't know. I think we need more like technology experts, people who are just more caught up and understand this world to help explain the pros and cons of all these choices that they're making. That would make me feel better, at least.
Yeah, I think it's like just also not a great look for the reputation of a lot of these Congress people. Like I understand why there's concern, definitely, but I think yeah, it just makes them look bad when they like aren't feel like it doesn't seem like they're educated talking about a topic. And I think
Yeah.
like at least on my TikTok For You page right now, like people are roasting them, and Gen Z specifically is really, I feel like, up in arms and like pro TikTok about this. I've seen a lot of different thoughts on this. I can show one thing that I'm just like fascinated by the reaction of TikTok. This is like
Yeah.
a fan edit that someone's made of him, of the TikTok
Oh
CEO
my
after
God.
yesterday. And it's just fascinating. It's like people like
That's
love
wild.
TikTok so much that they will like defend this guy they don't really even know. And yeah, I think it's just a really interesting phenomenon right now of like how users of TikTok, it seems like, are really upset with government officials as well, just from this. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think I was reading an article that said there hasn't really been a precedent to, like, this is unprecedented. There hasn't been an app in the US that has been banned before, which, yeah. So it's like, we're all doing this for the first time pretty much. And I feel like some people are wondering, like, how would they actually ban, like logistically, what do they do to ban an app? So one of the articles I was reading was saying, like, probably what they do is Apple and Google will not be allowed to host TikTok in the app store. And then like people would still, like, if you have TikTok already on your phone, it would still be there. They can't like delete the app from your device. But potentially what would happen, I mean, if they shut down the TikTok US company, maybe what would happen is like the app would stop functioning well. I mean, if people are not able to access it easily and can't post videos, like probably number of videos would start going down. Like the experience of the app would probably get worse, just for starters. But yeah, so I think those would be the first steps. I still think a big open question is like what happens to the company of TikTok in the US. But yeah, it's definitely like not impossible, I think.
No, I think it's very possible. I think a lot of people, we've done, like I said at the beginning, we've done a lot of episodes about this. And I think earlier, a few months ago, people would sometimes comment like, this is reactionary, this is ridiculous, TikTok will never be banned. But I think we're like kind of moving closer to where people are starting to think this is more legitimate. So we will keep, reporting and talking about this whenever anything big happens. I think that's probably enough for today. Thank you all for watching. If you're on TikTok, make sure that you're moving your audience over to other platforms. It's really important. You don't want to be faced with that issue where your business will crumble with a banning of an app. So get to it, make moves now. And Grace, thanks
There's
for chatting.
time. Yes. Yeah. This has been a great combo, Jack. But yes, there is time for you all to still get other platforms going. I think the ban would be at least a year from now. So definitely, just start moving on that. And we will see what happens.
And we'll see you next week.
See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.